So, Haggai, the next prophet, the book of Haggai, he was the first of two prophets, Haggai and Zechariah, that were after the Jews came back to Jerusalem after their captivity. They came back after 70 years of captivity. And about 50,000 Jews came back at first. And yet they weren't really cleaning up the temple. They weren't rebuilding the wall or the temple. They weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. So Haggai was called Jehovah's Messenger. He was preaching to them about future judgment and glory. And so again, it's talking about, the day of the Lord coming and the millennium when Jesus returns. So that's how you can see Jesus in Haggai. Now we have the book of Zechariah. And like I said, Haggai and Zechariah are the two prophets during the time of the return of the Jews to Jerusalem after the captivity, the 70-year captivity. Okay, so there is a verse in Zechariah that is amazing. Zechariah 11, 12 through 13. And it really is a prophecy of some of the events that happened during Jesus' death. It reads, I told them, if you think it best, give me my pay, but if not, keep it. So they paid me 30 pieces of silver. And the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter, the handsome price at which they valued me. So I took the 30 pieces of silver and threw them to the potter at the house of the Lord. Okay, so first there was a haggling over the price, and that's what happened with Judas and the chief priest about giving up Jesus. There was some haggling going on. It was prophesied that it would be silver that was used, and there was silver, and the price was 30 pieces of silver, which it was the going price for a slave that had been gored by a neighbor's ox. It cost 30 pieces of silver to betray Jesus. And Jesus was like a servant of God, a slave of God. And the wounds of the nails in the crucifixion were like being gored. So that's part of this prophecy. The blood money was returned, and in this it says, so I took the 30 pieces of silver and threw them to the potter at the house of the Lord. And Judah came back with the 30 pieces of silver after Jesus' death, and he threw them in the holy place of the priests at the house of the Lord. And they decided, the chief priest decided to use the money to purchase a potter's field. That's what they called it, a potter's field. So this is amazing. And the potter's field was where a burial place for strangers. So very interesting. And that was more than 500 years before Jesus was killed. But there's more. There's more. Zechariah 6, 12 through 13 talks about the coronation of a man named Joshua, who was a priest. And Joshua, is a variant of Yeshua, which means Jesus. And this Joshua was a priest, and he was going to help rebuild the temple, and then he was going to sit and rule from his throne as king. And Jesus, who is our high priest, will sit and rule from his throne. Zechariah 9:9 talks about a king riding on a donkey. And in Luke 19, we see Jesus riding on a donkey as he enters into Jerusalem. Zechariah 9:10 talks about a king riding on a horse. In Revelation 19, we are going to read about Jesus who will come riding on a white horse. In Zechariah 12:10, it states that they shall look upon me whom they have pierced. And that is prophesying about Jesus. So those are different ways that we can see Jesus in Zechariah. So we're finally at the last book of the Old Testament, the last of the minor prophets, that is Malachi. And after Malachi, there's 400 years of silence before John the Baptist enters the scene and starts preparing people for the way of the Lord. So it's very interesting. In Malachi 3:1, it says, I will send my messenger who will prepare the way before me. Then suddenly the Lord you are seeking will come to his temple. The messenger of the covenant, whom you desire, will come, says the Lord Almighty. So he's talking about the messenger who will prepare the way before God is John. He prepares the way before Jesus. And then, Jesus does come to his temple kind of suddenly. Twice he throws the money changers out, and he confronted the Pharisees and the scribes at the temple several times in his ministry. And the messenger of the covenant is a good description of Jesus, the new covenant. So that's a very exciting prophecy there. That's where you can see Jesus and John the Baptist in Malachi. And then, like I said, 400 years of silence, and then John the Baptist and Jesus break upon the scene and change the world, basically. So that's it for the minor prophets. We did start in Matthew this last week too, but I think I'm going to save the Gospels for the end of next week, which is, we're almost there, aren't we? I guess we are there in a few days. I'll save it for that and kind of talk about Jesus in the Gospels and how they differ. But we only have about two weeks left. So we've got, again, a lot of territory to cover, but it's all very interesting. I hope you're enjoying the New Testament readings. They're a little different than the Old Testament, aren't they? I think I'm really enjoying listening to and reading through the New Testament this time. So, thanks, and I will talk to you in a few days. Bye-bye.